Okay, thank you very much, Paul. Good afternoon from Indonesia. My name is Rubens Setiawan. So this is one of the research I've done with my colleague back on the Bandung Institute of Technology Museum. So our research previously has been presented in the CMIP 2026 Community Workshop in this year March earlier. And since then we haven't continued actually, but these are the results that we would like to present. So the festival or the culture itself is called Thingyan. So it is the Burmese New Year. All right. So actually, Thingyan is a traditional lunisolar New Year celebration in Myanmar. It is also celebrated well in the neighboring countries and neighboring ethnicities. So it's not only limited to the Burmese people. The Thai people also celebrated it as Songkran, if you ever know. And it is celebrated around mid-April with many rituals and festivals related to the Buddhist, maybe a syncretic form of Buddhist and uh, local indigenous uh, that specifically use water as a symbol to welcome the upcoming wet monsoon season in the northern hemisphere summer. So the Tingjan itself, it is celebrated around mid-April, and then the actual of the wet monsoon will become around 40 to 50 days after the celebration, and it is also already in a part as one of the UNESCO intangible cultural heritage in 2024. So yeah, I'm basically quite a bit interested in the Thingyan culture with its relevance to the monsoon since I visited Myanmar in 2024 and I had also a talk with my other Burmese friends beyond the climate community, and I have maybe come into such a conclusion that the Thingyan culture has great cultural importance in the Burmese agricultural society because it acts as the cultural marks of the rice planting season that will follow up. So you kind of have like the festival that prepares you to plant the rice for the following 40 to 50 days. However, in the current climate context, the changing climate and the shifting of the Asian summer onset, on which many millions of people dependent in South Asia, has also I myself we predicted that this could also encroach or impact to the sociocultural aspect of the indigenous culture and of the living indigenous cultures in particularly in that region. And also we also concerned about the limited role and representative of the indigenous and traditional people, especially within the international climate science initiatives that also uh, that previously was also part of quite a bit discussion in the summit 2026 between the ECR members. And the impacts of climate change on indigenous people and their knowledge are ongoing, tangible, and pervasive, as some of the publication have state about it, but we haven't seen significant progress into it to actually examine how the changes on our climate could impact their culture. And this is also one of our proposed, maybe not the perfect one, attempt to look into how the changing climate could impacts the culture, indigenous knowledge, and other intersection realms. So what we already done so far was actually to look on the uh, CMIP 6 GCMs in simulating Indian monsoon winds and rainfall. So we take a look into the Indian monsoon index of the historical model and the future climate. We also take a look into the daily rainfall, and regarding on the choosing of the GCMs, we choose of our several GCMs that you could observe here, which is already been assessed as one of the well-performing GCMs based on these citations. And we actually would like to compare how does the Thingyan date and the ASM onset uh, will shift throughout the future based on the Indian monsoon index. So we use the Indian monsoon index to determine the ASM onset, and we also take a look into latitudinally between the Mandalay city in the central part of the country and the Yangon city, which is more down south. That's on the pent-up rainfall. So on the Indian monsoon index, we use like the 5 day running mean, and we take a look onto the onset. So we compare, yeah, as usual, the historical climate and the future with many of the scenarios. Based on the historical climate, we observe that it is about 55 days difference or offset between the Thingyan and the actual ASM onset. So the Thingyan onset is marked here. It's between 16 or 17 April, between this period of the year in the historical. So actually the Thingyan date was calculated using the lunisolar calendar, but then it has the significant or cultural importance regarding on the seasonal monsoon. So uh, it is aligned with the start of Burmese rice agriculture that is around late May to early June. So we already we took a look onto the some of the GCMs here, and the BCC on the bottom has an earlier onset or sort of difference, which is around 40 days compared to the later one, which is IPSL, about 60 days. So this is in the historical. When we take a look into the low emission scenario, it's quite a bit like relatively similar consensus among those GCMs, both in the near future and the far future. But we see in here that some of the GCMs have relatively smaller uncertainties and deviations compared to some other GCMs that deviates like a lot more. So we do see that there is a hint of uncertainty between those GCMs that could might be come into play. And on the higher emission scenarios, we quite a bit see that in all of the GCMs, except the BCC in the bottom, uh, tend to have like the later onset of 10 to 20 days, especially during the future and far future period. And we could also observe that deviations and uncertainties are significantly increasing in all of the GCM except again the BCC in the bottom. On the highest emission scenario, we do find another quite a bit like unique result. So unlike the previous lower emission scenarios, the consensus between the GCM right now is more diverse. Some show quite a bit little shift, but relatively conserved in their deviations. If you take a look, maybe in the near future, but towards the future and the far future, some will show the greater uncertainty over the years, and maybe it is subject also to increase of the emission, and you could see like the totally difference or the like the non consensus between the GCM, which is way more deviating between one another. We also take a look into the rainfall in the historical part. The Yangon will have the earlier start at the pentat of 29, the 29th pentat, while Mandalay will have one pentat or 10 days later in the 30th. So the offset from Thingyan varies about one pentat or 10 days between those two largest cities in Myanmar. So this approach is quite helpful to see how the latitudinal variation could uh, provide a variation for the rice planting season, which has been done by the Burmese, because most of them are the traditional farmer that still use Thingyan as a marker, but they are living separately in the country, which spans from north to south. So the latitudinal variance is quite a bit important to be taken a look to. And uh, on the lower emissions scenario, we could see that Mandalay, maybe it's not quite clear, but maybe you can take a rewind later in the YouTube, that Mandalay will have one pentaklater start compared to the historical, only during the far future, this one. And is projected to experience the similar on both future and far future, while on the medium emission scenario, Yangon will retain the same spot compared to historical, while Mandalay will have, sorry, is projected to have like one pentat earlier start during the near future period. And in the highest emission scenario, the Mandalay is projected to have the same start as the historical on all future periods, and Yangon will have one pentat later start on the future and two pentat later start on the far future. So we also maybe it's not. It's relatively conservative here in terms of the rainfall compared to the onset that we take a look previously into the winds, but we could see the higher the emission scenario, we could see a larger deviations in the onset, particularly. So how do those changes may impact Thingyan? So first, the GCM projections show decreasing uncertainties of the ASM onset, which deviate more in the higher emission scenario and years beyond. So we have clearly seen that some of them are deviates quite uh, in the sense that it stretches out the distribution and is potentially disrupting the Thingyan concept in the minds of thousand Burmese traditional, maybe not thousand, maybe millions of Burmese traditional farmers, which is still rely on the Thingyan as a marker for their planting season. Cascadingly, it could also trigger a shift in how younger generations perceive their culture. They will deem that this festival or this Thingyan New Year is only act as merely as a festival or maybe as a good day to worship Buddha, but they most likely will not treat it uh, really living and useful and in the practical usage as a marking for their agricultural practices, which is potential to the loss of inheritance and the practical usage over the coming years within the changing climate context. And yeah, these are the conclusion that first, the uncertain and highly variable shift in the future of the ASM onset is captured within the projections, but maybe we need also to take into a closer look why some of the models are showing earlier onset, why some of the models are showing the later onset. So we haven't uh, look up for that, and we will take a look and read other newer publications to explain ourselves about that. And Thingyan, as an important cultural marking for Burmese agriculture, is facing this threat directly, both from physical and potential social collateral impact. And yeah, we also, maybe some of us know that the political conditions in Burma is not really supporting this cause, and we're really sorry for that. And for the future works, uh, this I add this like a couple of days ago. This is from a new article from Sangat et al. In 2026. They established how the traditional knowledge could contribute to the indigenous climate resiliency, and uh, how does it could may contribute to our future climate change adaptation and resilience, especially in the countries like Myanmar or in the regions like Southeast Asia, where traditional knowledge and values are still inherited and are still uh, practically live within the society. So actually, how can we establish? So the question is, how can we establish a good bridge in this gap between the collection of the indigenous and traditional knowledge, and how do we ethically use them or ethically utilize them for the good of the people in the global south to enhance their climate adaptation and resilience. So then the question will be expanded to how where should we put the climate science in effective, appropriate, and respectful way? Why do we need to put it in the appropriate and respectful way? This is because that the uh, traditional and indigenous knowledge are produced through a different means and through a different set of knowledge compared to a climate science that we mainly learn in this community, which is derived from the Western uh, knowledge. So we cannot treat the two different set of the knowledge in the same manner, but we need to navigate through those of the differences on how we can understand each other and make a good use between each other to uh, achieve the adaptation and resilience capacity. And I'm currently also working on the traditional calendar. So I'm currently in Indonesia to research on how people perceive the Pranoto Mongso or traditional calendar in Java, in amidst of the changing climate, amidst of the changing socio-cultural aspects. So it is actually quite a interesting field to be explored and to enhance the collaboration between the social scientists and the climate scientists. And yeah, these are my references. Yeah, I think it's enough from me. May God protect and fulfill the happiness of the people of Burma, and I pray the best for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rubens. That's really interesting talk. We haven't. I don't know whether anyone's got any questions. I don't see any hands up, but we've got a couple of minutes left. I suppose the first, I'd ask a question as a layperson. Is it possible then, with the traditional calendars, to actually change the calendar? To just say, I don't know how that would work, but you'd say that you'd shift it in line with what the observations and maybe the modeling is showing. I don't know whether that's possible or is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Regarding on the traditional calendar, some of the uh, ethnicities in the Southeast Asia usually have kind of mix between the lunisolar and lunar or solar calendar. So yeah, actually they already have like the set of calculations, but then the changing climate is more. I mean, we cannot adapt the calendar to suit the changing climate, but the changing climate itself maybe act as a means to, like to confront the status quo that has been there since a long year before. So that is the threat. So what we can best to do is how can we, as a climate scientist, maybe uh, uh, tell them that there are something changes in our climate, but then uh, we cannot say that we cannot use that anymore because it is embedded in their culture, but to give them maybe sort of understanding that sometimes it could be deviate in some kind of the manner because of the global change. So yeah, maybe
Yeah,
that's my best answer up until
yeah.
this moment
It's a.
because yeah,
I
it
was
is
just
still
thinking
being
about the
researched.
from the point of view of the planting. That's the other thing I was thinking. But yeah, it's a really interesting question. So good luck with your research. Hopefully
Yes,
something
thank you very
comes,
much.
get some useful information out of that. There's a question from Julie in the chat actually. She says, out of interest, does Burma have an early warning system associated with El Nino?
Okay, thanks, Julie, for the question. I think all of the countries in the Southeast Asia, we also have the collaborated initiative, but I quite forgot the name regarding on the early warning system of the El Nino. Yes, they acknowledge also that El Nino is one of the natural variability that impacts on the rice agriculture. But during the recent political situations, maybe some of the the early warning didn't work, and the message from the central government are not could not reach the communities in the within inside the countries because of the political situation. So that's why they are still relying on their indigenous knowledge. Yeah.
Thank you.